As we all know, the Chiefs made a lot of considerable moves in the offseason, one being getting K9 from the Super Bowl winning championship, Seattle Seahawks, as well as getting the news that their Hall of Fame tight end Travis Kelce is not necessarily going to be retiring. But not only that, they did yesterday re-sign him to a 3-year contract worth $57.7 million. But in today's episode, I'm coming to tell you that, quite frankly, I still think they should be looking for his replacement, and that replacement is in the draft. And quite frankly, they need to use it with that first pick. Hey, Stevo speaks. It's NFL Central, but get what? Y'all gotta hear that music first, though.
Welcome to your number one spot for all NFL news and content, NFL Central.
Episode of NFL Central is one of your hosts here, Stevo Speaks, here with another video. And we told y'all we're going to be doing a lot of draft coverage, a lot of things, because we 28 days left until the draft is going down. So, hey, it's here. We going to get straight into it. So let's get straight into the video. I mentioned it in the title. We're going to be talking about the Chiefs and what they should necessarily do with that first pick. And quite frankly, y'all see the thumbnail. Y'all see the title. I think they should go out there and get Oregon tight end. And it's not because I'm wearing an Oregon shirt. Oregon tight end, Kenyon, Sadiq. This is my thing. First, before we even get into anything about Kenyon Sadiq, let's look at what's going on right now. So we all know, and currently as it states, the Chiefs are kind of in the retooling phase, as we all know. In this past season, they lost their quarterback into a torn ACL, which is Patrick Mahomes, who's going to be out for the foreseeable future until he decides to come back. As you also know that they signed Justin Fields to a 1-year deal to possibly be his holder until he returns. So that's that. And, as I mentioned, they went to go get K9. They went to go get some other players. They lost some players on defense, definitely losing Trick McDuffie as well. But quite frankly, it's all about retooling. It's all about what they need. And quite frankly, tight ends, weapons, offensive line, they need a lot of help. Most importantly, they need weapons. We've been talking about for the most part, ever since Tyreek Hill left to his in free agency to go to Miami. Quite frankly, he never had a go-to weapon outside of his Hall of Fame tight end, Travis Kelce. And if you look at the stats when it comes to Travis Kelce, he just hasn't been the same tight end in the last 3 years. His last year getting over 1,000 yards was 1,300 yards, which is in 2022. Ever since then, it's been 900 yards and below. Year after that, 2023, he got 984 yards with 93 receptions. The next year after that, got 823 yards, 97 receptions. And then last year, finally, he had 851 yards, 76 receptions. So as you can see, that's a constant decline because, for one, the tight end, when it comes to the tight end play, Travis Kelce is still one of those. But at the end of the day, the man getting older. At the end of the day, no man can beat Father Time. And at the end of the day, Travis Kelce is 36 years old. So from the time of his last year getting over 1,000 yards, I believe that was the year he turned 32 or 33. So it's been 3 years since then. So yeah, he's not necessarily the same Travis Kelce, and he's not going to be the same Travis Kelce. That's why in this video, me and Bobby, we talked offline, and we kind of felt like the best, quite frankly, what they should, the draft process for those Chiefs should be best player available. Now, like I just said, they need a multitude of things. I will argue that their number one need is probably wide receiver one. But I don't necessarily know if you're going to get a true wide receiver one in this draft. So I don't know. Secondly, they need some more offensive line depth, of course, mainly in the interior. The tackles are pretty okay, but it's a reason why he just tore his ACL. He's been running for his life for the last few years. So they definitely need to address that online, which I won't be upset if they use that as their first pick. As I mentioned in the beginning, they definitely need quarterback depth because they're losing Trent McDuffie and others is definitely a hit to the defensive side of the ball. And of course, they could use some more help on the D line because Chris Jones just not getting any younger. And quite frankly, just like you're seeing Travis Kelsey, the older they get, the more depleted their stats get. And that's no fault to their own. They're just like I said, that's father time. But this is why I feel like Kenyon Sadiq should be answer, and not only an answer, a viable thought process and a viable option for them. So for all those don't know, before we get into the whole combine stacks, he's 6'3". He's 6'3". Let me get the correct weight down because it could go down. So he's in between about 240 to about 248. Stocky, very stocky. One of the most ripped tight ends you ever going to see. And then if you paid attention to anything he did in the combine, he's one of those combine guys that lit it all the way up. He had 31 inch arms, 10-inch hands. Um, Broad jump was 11.1 inches. His vertical was a 43.5. His 40-yard dash was 4.39. I'm gonna say that one more time. His 40-yard dash was 4.39 at 6'3", 240 pounds. That boy can move. Now, let's get into the stats. Now, everybody, when it comes down to it, they're going to look at it and be like, oh, he's just a combine merchant. He's not something that gets done in the play, in the field of play. And this is where my expertise as an Oregon fan comes in, so I can give you a little bit of context. So, as you can see, he's played 14 games. He played 42 games total as a college player. 14 each of them years. So the first year he had 5 receptions, was not the starter, 24 yards. The next year he kind of stepped into kind of his way, which in my opinion, his sophomore year, he should have been easily the number 1 tight end, even though we had a pretty good tight end at the time. But he was the second on when it comes to it. So he was 24 receptions, 308 yards, and only 2 touchdowns that year. And then his final year, after which he had the first year of him really fully starting, he had 51 receptions, 560 yards, 11 yards per attempt, and 8 touchdowns. Now, y'all gonna look at these stats and be like, that's nothing really impressive, especially coming from a tight end, especially looking from the tight ends that got drafted a year prior in Tyler Warren and Coastal Loveland, with both of them having crazy tight end seasons. But this is, like I said, this is where my expertise in Oregon comes in, because if you pay attention to Oregon, we was a very run heavy team. If I'm not mistaken, we had at one point eight running backs on the roster, and we was using 5 of them. So that just shows you how much we was willing to use the run game. And quite frankly, with Decorian Moore and others, McMillan, we had wide receivers, even though we had injuries all over the place, which was me why I was even more confused. The offensive side of Oregon was just weird last year. The passing game wasn't the best. It has its moments when it was good, but the bread and butter for majority of anything when it came to the offensive side of Oregon was mainly the run game, which you still see him had a lot to do in, because he's not just somebody that looks like he can block. He actually goes out there and blocks, and he blocks very well. So if you want to go out there and run and put him in run blocks and situations, that's something he could thrive in, as well as pass catching. Now, in my opinion, if you look at all the tangibles, you looked up how he played, quite frankly, especially looking at the depleted wide receiver class that we had last year with all the injuries that Oregon had, it was very abundant and apparent to me that we should be using him as a Travis Kelsey, because quite frankly, he was probably, if not our main dynamic weapon that we had. This is somebody that could catch the ball in the middle of the field, side of the field, put him in the slot. he can go up and get it. Hell, he can even get it out the backfield and do something with it with Yak. That's the type of tight end you're getting when you get somebody like Kenyon Sadiq. He's a playmaker on all facets. You give him the ball and you want him to make a move, he can do that. You want him to go outside and play wide receiver, he can do that. You want him to be rough and rugged and get in the tight end and possibly do a little delay route, he can do that as well. He was extremely underutilized in Oregon. Extremely. It was just crazy to say that we kept him as long as we did, because I felt like it was a big possibility after his sophomore year that he was going to transfer. But in my opinion, if you decide to go out here, and if I'm saying I'm talking about the Chiefs, if I'm the Chiefs and I'm going out here and I'm looking at best player available, you got your running back. You don't necessarily got your wide receiver, but like I said, we still Tyreek Hill still out there. But you can address the wide receiver in the draft. But in my opinion, probably if not one of the best wide receivers, that's probably, I think everybody can see him as a number one. Most likely we will be gone when it comes to your time. And like I said, I ain't say this, but I'm gonna get straight into it because this is a part of the video that I think definitely needs to be talked about. I don't necessarily know what the Chiefs is doing, giving Travis Kelce a 3-year deal worth that much money. Don't get me wrong. Like I just said, I still think he's a pretty good, damn good tight end, and he can get you get things done within the offense. But he's 36 years old. So, in my opinion, in order for all this to make sense, you paying him, you still keeping him. Why not bring in his replacement? Teach him, have somebody that can teach him how to be a professional, teach him all the things that he's not necessarily good at right now. And now, when your quarterback is back healthy, he's probably into his 30s and whatnot. You got a primary weapon, damn near X-Y receiver, if you will, waiting in the wings for you. And you can run Travis Kelce 2.0 as long as Patrick Mahomes feel like playing again. That's how much confidence I got in Kenyon Sadiq. I think under the tutelage of a Travis Kelce, as Kelce being one of the best catchers of the ball when it comes to the tight end position, he can turn Kenyon into a piece of that. And quite frankly, outside of height, Kenyon is more physically gifted than anything that Travis Kelce could have ever done. So if he put in the work, he's with an all-time coach, an all-time quarterback, all-time organization, if you want to be quite honest with you. Why not? I think Kenyon Sadiq will be a valuable piece for the Kansas City Chiefs on day one and for years to come. That's how much confidence that I necessarily have in Kenyon Sadiq. I'm not going out there and getting a tight end at the 9th pick is a lot. It's a big jump and it's a big chance. But like I said, even if numbers aside, if you take Kenyon Sadiq's numbers aside, if you see what he did on the field, I think that's something that y'all should really consider. Like I said, when it comes to everything worried about in players coming up and any bad things that you could teach him out, this is the organization to do it. This is the organization to do it. Like I just said, you got a Hall of Fame head coach, and both your head coach and then your defense coordinator. You got a Hall of Fame quarterback. You got a Hall of Fame tight end still. You still got championship DNA all scattered throughout this whole organization. You could teach this guy how to win. You could teach this guy how to be great. You could teach this guy how to be the best tight end, period. Because in my opinion, he definitely, I would be shocked if he's not a top 5 to top 3 tight end if he got a Chief jersey on. But let me know what y'all think. Do you think the Chiefs going out there and getting Kenyon Sadiq at the 9th pick is a little bit too high? Let me know what y'all thoughts is. Do you think they should go out there and maybe get a Mekhi Lemon or possibly somebody else or wide receiver somewhere else? Or should they just stick and try to get both of the trenches better? Because, like I iterated in the beginning, they definitely need some D line and O line help because Patrick Mahomes ain't injured for no reason, and Chris Jones ain't getting any younger. But that's my time. Thank y'all for tuning in for another episode of NFL Central. It's your boy Stevo Speaks, and we'll be back tomorrow with another video. Peace.
This has been a presentation